Let's go. Life is Not a Reality Show by Kyle Richards is a book I just finished. Today being January 20th, 2025. This is my third take of this, and I just realized I'd been saying 2024. At first I said 2020, but that's neither here nor there. It's also the presidential inauguration today, the new president being Donald Trump. It's also subsequently Martin Luther King's birthday. A lot going on. I keep forgetting that it's Monday, not like a weekend, because obviously it's part of a long weekend. This book, to me, is one of the most down-earth, relatable books by somebody who is famous and rich that I've read in a while. And it is the most unrelatable book I've read. Yeah. Hey everybody, my name is Babbling Brooke. Welcome back to Babbling Brooke. We're happy to have you here. I won't be long. We're just going to talk quickly about this book, which is the fifth book that I've finished so far this year. I've already told you what the date is. I'm very proud of myself and this pace, and I try not to put pressure on myself in life in general, because it tends to be my personality to not be a type A, but to be hard on myself. So I'm like, okay, just do a couple, maybe one more chapter of this book, and then you're done, and you can do other things and clean the house for a change. Turns out the last chapter of the book was just 2 pages, or maybe 2.5, and boom, the book is over. I was like, wait, isn't there 50 more pages? All those pages were a bunch of photos. So that was a treat and a nice serendipitous situation. Who doesn't love those? Kyle Richards is one of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She's the OG. At first, I didn't even like her. She was okay, right? Because the new season, when it's a first season, I like everybody. I walk into it wanting to love everybody for their personalities and quirks, etc. And then it got to a point where I was like, is she two-faced? Is she fake? I don't understand this girl. And the fact that I was a big fan and still am of Kim Richards, who seems to have been the more famous, maybe she was a bigger actress when they were young, between the two sisters being Kyle and Kim. Kim's older. I guess. I didn't know these people in the beginning. When the show was being promoted, before it came out, I know that they were talking about Paris Hilton's and Kim Richards has a new show. I was like, need to check that out, because I was a follower of Paris Hilton. That may have been mentioned a few times on this podcast. Then, of course, like I said, watched the show. I liked everybody. I loved Kim. She's just so eccentric and goofy. I just enjoyed her. I was mourning her absence whenever she was not on the show. So I think that may have influenced how I was towards Kyle, because their relationship was very tricky or complicated. They seem, of course, to love each other. They're sisters. Not that sisters always love each other. Ask me how I know. No, I'm kidding. So, Kyle, later on, I was like, I think I get her now. Has she changed or what? And then I did a rewatch of Beverly Hills, which was so rewarding. It was one of my favorite periods, because I'm not a rewatcher of anything. I couldn't read a book twice or watch a movie more than once or watch a movie once. But I was like, whoa, I loved her from the beginning. And I was like, she was more consistent in her personality than I thought and whatever. It's so weird. Fresh eyes? I don't know. Apparently, you know, like I said, she was an actress back in the day. Little House on the Prairie or in the Prairie? On the Prairie, I guess. She was on that, and apparently people know her from that and maybe other movies. I don't know her from, I don't know any of that stuff. I grew up in South Africa, and we didn't have it. We barely had a television in our house. We didn't have electricity, and so I didn't know movies that were in South Africa or TV shows that were going on in South Africa, let alone House in prairies, on prairies. I don't even know if I know what a prairie is to begin with. I know what a prairie dress is, though, because I sell clothes on eBay. So Kyle, in this book, talks about her life, not necessarily all of her life. It doesn't feel like a memoir to me. It feels like somebody who is on a successful reality show was given a deal to write, mainly targeting the fans of the show, to write about more of who they are. It's like a bio of a person who's on a show, you know, targeting just that angle. That's how it felt like to me. She's one of 3 sisters: Kathy Hilton, who is the mother of Paris Hilton, Kim, as I've mentioned, and Kyle being the youngest, and Kathy the oldest. And sidebar, Kathy has her own dad. Their mom, Big Kathy, or Big, what do they call her? Big Kathy? I should know this. I just finished reading the book. But yeah, I believe so, Big Kathy, was married up to 4 times. So one of the first or earlier husbands was the father of Kathy Hilton, and then Kim and Kyle have their own father. That's neither here nor there. It doesn't come up in the books. It's not, I don't think it's relevant to their lives, and I'm not mentioning it to separate or be inclusive, so exclusive. That sounds like I think I'm being exclusive, but I'm just mentioning it as a fun fact because it's not a well-known fact, or people don't, it's not a thing. They all have multiple daughters. By the way, I feel like I'm doing a Richards/Hilton episode more than a book on Kyle, but work with me. By the way, I believe Kathy, Michael Jackson, oh my gosh, I was going to say Mahalia Jackson. Is that even a name? What's Michael Jackson's sister? Not Jeanette. Oh my gosh. Her face is in my head right now. And she seems to be extremely underweight, actually. And I hope she's okay. But I think she is. She seems like maybe that's just like how she is. I guess those Jacksons are not people who... I can't even imagine any of them being like obese or overweight. Oh my gosh, don't make me have to Google this. Anyway, I believe all 3 of them, maybe there were more people in that group, they had this pact that when they have their firstborn kids, they're going to name them Paris. So, of course, Kathy had her daughter, named her Paris. Michael Jackson's kid is named Paris. And early on my way to Google, I remembered that it's LaToya Jackson. And I believe LaToya doesn't have kids, but in her case, she had a dog and named her dog Paris, something like that. I think she had a reality show that I watched and enjoyed. I don't know if I'm making this up, but I remember a time watching LaToya. Maybe she had like 1 season or 2. I don't know. I actually was enjoying her. It's very eccentric. I mean, listen, these are rich people. Like, I don't even know how Latoya is, like, she seems to be quite wealthy. I'm like, how is she so wealthy? Anyway, I don't really follow her life like that, but once in a blue moon, you think of someone, you go check them out, and I happened to have done that just this past week. That's how I was like, wow, she's underweight. Just my opinion. I'm not a doctor. So that is another fun fact about the Paris part of the Hilton and Jackson, etc. So they all have daughters. This is now Kim, Kyle, and Kathy. They all have not just daughters, they all have a bunch of kids who are very close. That's mentioned in the book. And they themselves, as sisters, are close. We've seen them, all three sisters, on Housewives of Beverly Hills. The book came out in 2011. So this was probably after just one season, or maybe during the second season that was filmed. The show has been out forever now. And actually, Kyle is one of the original cast members. In fact, she's the only first season cast member who is still on the show. It's basically her show. And not only is it basically her show, it really kind of is, because it was framed after her. I think she was the original person who was casted, and then they built the show around her, her friends, her circle, etc., which is, how she got her sister on the show. Even though, to me, how it came to my attention was via Paris Hilton's aunt, Kim. It was actually Kyle who was first cast, and Kyle who got Kim on the show. Another fact that's neither here nor there. She talks a lot about her mom. If you watch the show, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, RHOBH, which is, by the way, of all the franchises, and I've watched all of them at least for a few minutes. Some where I was like, I can't get into this, especially the franchises from other countries. I don't know. And they have a few in South Africa that are apparently successful. I think Durban has multiple seasons, and I think there's Nigeria. That's not South Africa. But I couldn't really get into, like I said, some of them. And Dubai, I think I forced myself to do the first season. Beverly Hills is my favorite because I'm a California girl at heart, and I'm in California as we speak, and I've lived in Los Angeles for a decent amount of time. I actually lived in Beverly Hills probably a mile, under 2 miles from Kyle's store. She no longer has that store now, but she has other ones like in Palm Springs, I think in Florida and other places. But at the time, she had her first store by Alene Wu. How do I remember this? Well, I've been to the store. So I've been to that store. It was like is it called the Golden Triangle? Which was like the most expensive stores in that triangle, including, obviously, Rodeo Drive, etc. It's not on Rodeo Drive, her store, but it's in that triangle. And her store was right next door to Lisa Vanderpump's, also no longer there, store, Villa Blanca. Gorgeous. I mean, Lisa Vanderpump is known for her, style. That was the restaurant Villa Blanca and Kyle's clothing store. It was kind of like a boutique in a way because it wasn't her like clothing line, which I think now she has a few things, muumuus and other things under her name. So I've been to that store. It was really like cute, and I was like, wow. For me, as a fan of the show, I was like, oh my gosh, I mean, why can't she just like show up or be in the parking lot? I was walking around looking like, do I see any like, I don't know, Range Rovers or whatever? Yeah, they were everywhere. I was driving a Land Rover myself at the time. So I was like, this is Beverly Hills. Everybody drives those cars here, so how will I even know this is the one with her? And she had this book in that store as well. And I remember just thumbing through it and thinking, wow, this is really Kyle Richards' store. For me as a fan, that was exciting. I was the only customer in the store at the time. And I think there were about 2 sales people, staff, who would just hang out, talking, browsing through their phones. It was like I wasn't even there. They didn't do that whole hello and welcome or whatever. It wasn't that. I didn't get that vibe there. And for me, it didn't super bother me because I was just happy that they left me alone because I was not there to buy anything. I was just there to say, I've been to Kyle Richards' store. So maybe they were used to people just going in and whatever. I'm not defending that. They could have at least acknowledged my presence at once. They literally didn't, which left me to just freewheel throughout the whole store peacefully without feeling the pressure to buy. So there was a plus side to that negligence. I've been to, just sidebar, is it Dash? Yeah, Kardashian store, also in Beverly Hills. There, they were much friendlier and it was more happening. I mean, the Kardashians have bigger clout anyway, if we were to talk about that. And the staff, they also left me alone to do what I wanted, but they paid attention. It felt like a store that people shop at. It had that vibe versus Kyle's. Kyle's was more like a museum. I was like, does anybody even shop here? Some of the things were really expensive. I mean, I get it for the location. I'd like to check out her store in Palm Springs. I'm due for a trip there. I like Palm Springs. It's really beautiful. It's been a while since I've been there. So when I go there, I've already saved her store. I will check it out as well. Why not? So, yeah, she talks about style, her fashions, her favorite things being handbags. As a fan of the show, I know this. She's much more down to earth in the book, which was 2011, than she is now, which is fair enough because it's 2025. You know what I mean? In fact, there's a season that's airing currently of Housewives of Beverly Hills. I guess it was filmed in 2024. So, I mean, comparing 13 years difference. Oh, it came out just before I came to America. So, wow. Anyway, I don't want to go down that tangent now. Shoes, she loves bags. This is the kind of makeup that she likes, and this is where you can get it, and these are the price points. It's really fun. You're listening to like a girlfriend, very girl next door, but that's always been her vibe. She doesn't give up of extremely wealthy vibes, even though as you continue to watch the show, you can see them reaching another level of financial success and another one. And now they've moved to another house. Now they own 2 extremely, this and that house and whatever. So, you know what I mean? I think she should do another book, like an updated one. But she is on the show, so I guess we can follow her there and on socials. The sad thing is she talks a lot about her marriage. That's not sad. And it's, for me, very unrelatable because I'm not in a marriage or any kind of a relationship. She, gives advice throughout the book on how to that's what it is. It's more of a how-to book to people who want to be, not necessarily like her, but to answer all the questions that people, I guess, may have asked having watched the show or maybe asked her on her socials. So this is how you get her favorite this, and these are her favorite things around the house, and this is how you host a party. Very, Kyle-centric, if you follow the show. And I love how she did all of that, because it gives you, if you're a fan, a glimpse of, not a glimpse, but it gives you more detail onto how she became who she is. She talks about, like I said, her marriage, how they met, and this is how you find a man and keep him, And that is the sad part, because right now, I think that it's maybe year 2, could even be 3 of their separation. Because I know I was in South Africa when I was watching the season where they were talking about a separation. And I didn't go to South Africa last year. So 2 years plus. And I don't think they're divorced still. I don't know what's going on with that story, because they basically, definitely she's not talking about it. I don't know about him, because he ended up having his own, by him I mean her husband, Mauricio Umansky. I believe he ended up having his own show, selling Beverly Hills or buying Beverly Hills, doing something in real estate with Beverly Hills, which had 2 seasons. I didn't watch that show. I'm not a huge fan of spin-offs. But apparently he kind of may have talked more about their relationship or not working out of the relationship than she being Kyle, willing to do so on her show. What do I know? He's also on Housewives of Beverly Hills. Even now, after a couple of years of being separated, they'll feature him, whatever. He's a fan favorite, very easygoing guy, really good looking, etc. She is beautiful too, and seems easygoing and fun, just like girl next door vibe. I enjoy her, like I said. Back to the part where, so I said it's sad because, obviously, you have the tips to how to find a man and keep him, but maybe not forever. They were married for more than 20 years. So kudos to them. They did that thing, and they seemed happy throughout. Now it just is gut-wrenching to watch them. Maybe that's an extreme word. But it's just sad. He seems happy to be free. There were rumors of infidelity on his part throughout the show, over the seasons, that they debunked. I don't think I've ever used that word before. But and now he just seems like he's yelling it out in a condo, probably in Beverly Hills, and living his best life. And she's sad, but, she seems sad on the show, but it's like, last season you were happily, seemingly in love with a woman, and you guys were doing music videos together, just like almost making out and giggling and flirting throughout the whole thing. And now you're coming back, not talking about the girl who you're still doing photos with and going on vacations in Africa with and kind of blurring her out in photos. But this person seems to be extremely in your life, and you want to be on a reality show, not talk about your marriage, not talk about the girl. And we feel short-changed because at this point, I don't even know what's going on there, and nobody is allowed to touch it. Why is this person still here doing a show? I extremely empathize with her. Having read this book makes me feel like, and having watched her on the show, of course she was confident in her relationship. It was working. Year after year, decade after decade, kids after kids. They have 4 kids together. She was married before, very young, probably 19, 20 or 18, and had her firstborn. All their kids look exactly the same. And then she had 3 kids with the second husband, Mauricio. But combined they have 4, and seemed like a nice, happy family. This is a Jewish mom who is loving this, but Kyle, by this I mean Kyle, very loving and proud of being a mom. She said she was put on this earth to be a mom. She loved her mom and her relationship. She still talks very much about her mom season after season, and it's fine. Her mom passed away before the show. So, more than 15 years ago. Not that her mom shouldn't be a part of her life still just because of that. I totally empathize. And whenever the subject of her mom, or if they decide to bring up their mom, any of the 3 sisters, it's devastating to watch. I get a lump in my throat when their mom comes up because my brain has been trained that it's a sore subject. And I hate it for them. Whenever I hear stories about Big Cathy, to me, it just, I'm like, oh, she's a narcissist. With all due respect and rest in peace. But whenever I hear this, I'm just like, to me, it just gives off something very familiar to me and my life. And I'm like, partly. But then partly, she seems to have been a kind of a helicopter mom who became a manager of their careers and whatever. And that's fine. That doesn't mean she was helicopter, but there's parts, listening to the book, where it sounds like that and whatever. And maybe that's what a loving mom is. What do I know? But then there's parts that are like, But they just seem like their relation, whenever their mom comes up, it's always like, here we go with that mom again. I don't know. She was an entity, their mom was a god. It was like, she was worshipped. And anything that she said, even now, it's like, if mom is brought up, even now, it's like, okay, I'll do it. If mom said, oh yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? It's like very, very, it doesn't feel healthy. But like I said, not a doctor. What do I know? Do I recommend this book? Yes. If you want to just hang out with a girlfriend and hear things that you're going to relate. And she sounds very social. She loves her friends, has a big group of friends, and seems to have had friends for a lifetime, which is great. I love that in people. People who are like so stable, people who've lived in the same place for a long time, people who've had, the same social circles for a long time, same partner and all of that. I don't just love it, I admire it. I don't know what that's like, okay? I've lived in this house. In February, I should plan a celebration because it's going to be 3 years in February that I've lived in this house. And one of the longest running living period in one place for me, probably since I was 10 years old. And I'm like 50 years old at this point, or am I 69? Yeah. So, yeah. And in the whole time that I've lived here, I have not been in a relationship. We need to talk about that, by the way. I want to do an episode where I'd like us to discuss, let's talk about Brooke. We need to discuss, what's the future going to look like? Should I look for someone? Can I just manifest him? And if so, how? And hopefully you can give me some input if we're going to go do it online, give me some websites and other things. We want to talk about that. I will do an episode because Mama needs help. I need somebody, not just anybody. Kyle also talks about how she's so down to earth. That's the vibe of the book. She does her own makeup, even for the show. And this and that and the other. You watch her on the show, and she'll be looking at other people and being like, hey, you guys. And she's the one who literally was born and raised in Beverly Hills. And her tagline is always, in this town, or something about this town, or I was born in this town, this town. And that's okay. If I was born in Beverly Hills, probably I would be talking like that too. To be born in Beverly Hills, I can't even imagine. I love Beverly Hills, one of my favorite places to be at. I love Los Angeles, so whenever I'm in LA, I'm like, yes, I belong here. At least my soul does. Thank you for listening. I think we covered, for the most part, whatever I have to say about it. Check it out if you're interested. If you're a guy and you want to check it out, yeah, why not? I listen to or read books by guys too. This episode ended up being way longer than I thought it would be, which is fine because I'm a fan of the show. So I gave you my tidbits on the side of that. Babbling Brook podcast on Facebook is our group. I'd like you to join us there. Tell me about the books that you've read of Housewives, because a lot of them have books out. And this is, I think, my second one that I've done a review of a housewife. The other one was Leah McSweeney of Housewives of New York City. So you can check that out if you care. And speaking of Bravo, the other one was Kristen Doty, also here on the podcast. And Babbling Brook podcast on Instagram. Follow us there too, please. And if you want to get hold of me directly, I'm at Babalwa Brook on all socials. My blog is babalabrook.com. Sounds like block, but it's a blogger. And youtube.com/babalabrook. Leave us a comment, please, in the comment section of Spotify and YouTube and wherever else you listen to this, if they have a slot for comments. I look forward to hearing from you. In fact, not just that, I would love to, so please. Thank you very much. I enjoyed talking about this book more than I thought I would. This was my first time talking today. And probably my only time, except for, of course, I'm going to be talking to myself here and there. But thank you for this opportunity. Let me bounce. That's something Kim Richards said in Housewives of Beverly Hills. Bounce. She's so goofy. Quickly, I'm going to put an Amazon referral link here in the description box. And if you want to buy this book via Amazon or buy whatever, please go via our link so that the show will get a kickback from whatever Amazon is charging you for whatever you're buying or this book. You're not paying extra. It's Amazon who's taking from their cut and giving us for a finder's fee just to help keep the lights on or the heater on, because my feet are always cold. I'm sitting in front of the heater as we speak. Thank you for being here.